I call the Planning Commission meeting for February 29th, 2024 to order. We'll begin with the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jackie, will you call the roll?
Mr. Tiedemann?
Here.
Mr. Varga?
Here.
Mr. Crocker?
Here.
Mr. Haddon?
Here.
Mr. Perkovich?
Excused.
Mr. Rossetti?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting February 8th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. On tonight's agenda, we have two public hearings, and we will follow this format. First, the applicant will have the opportunity to explain what they would like to do at a particular location. Second, anyone wishing to speak in favor of this proposal will be given the opportunity. Finally, anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be afforded the time to do so, or some people may just have questions, and we'll try to get those answers. And with that, we have a conditional use permit to allow vehicle service and repair facility at 8667 East Avenue. Is that applicant here? Please come up, give us your name and address. Tell us a little bit about what you want to do.
My name's Josh Ansel, 8667 East Avenue. I own Twisted Trucking, and I guess most of my business is over the road. And then I moved into this building in October. I didn't know that I needed the conditional use permit. I do work on heavy trucks, cement mixers, semis. The bigger jobs we do in the shop, engine jobs and stuff, but I'm mainly over the highways. I rent off Jeremy from Stone Collector, Jeremy Osborne. And I just did not know that I had to do all this, so I'm just trying to do it right, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Just hold 1 second. Is there anybody wishing to speak for this proposal? Anybody wishing to speak against this proposal? This public hearing is closed. Kathy, anything from the administration?
We have noted 11 conditions for the commission's consideration.
Thank you. And you've read the conditions and you okay with
Yeah.
all of them?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
There was one question on there. I seen that there was a statement about the dumpsters. And there's actually 3 different garbage companies on that property. Anna from Stone Collector brought it to my attention today. So I didn't know if it was because of it wasn't gated in or.
So are there dumpsters on site then?
Yes, there's 3 different ones. There's Esquire, Major, and Waste Management.
Can you identify where they are located?
Yeah, there's 2 on Automation's side of the fence, right up on each corner. And then my toters are in the building. I have regular toters. That's Esquire trash that I use. So I just wanted to throw it out. I wasn't sure what it was.
So the dumpster on site is not yours? It's inside?
Yes. The major one is Jeremy Osborne's.
Okay.
I don't use that one. I just have 2 regular garbage toters inside that
Okay.
are by my each door, each man door. I have one.
Thank you. Ms. Cantanzarita, Reedy.
Can you just confirm the address of the unit? We've gotten a couple of different numbers, and the fire department noted they were confused as to which was your actual tenant space.
Yeah, I actually asked Jeremy about that because I was confused too. On my door, it says 866 East Avenue on the door of my building. But then if you look it up on Google, for some reason my building has a different address and his has a different one, but they're the same building. So I'm not quite sure. Jeremy's been out of town. I haven't had a chance to run that by him. As far as he thinks is it's the same address too.
We have 8653, and then we have 8667.
Okay, so when I looked it up, 8667 is actually Jeremy's side of the building, so the other one must be my address. But the buildings are connected.
Oh,
According to the city records,
the correct address for that unit to keep it in sequence
Okay.
with everything, it should be 8669 East Avenue. That would keep it in sequence with the address range. If fire's going down the street, they can find it quicker. And once we notify the county of the correct address, it should, within a couple of months, update on Google.
Okay. Is there anything I have to do with that, or?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Because we'll notify the county kind of shares their information back and forth with Google.
Okay,
To make
now-
sure the addresses are correct.
Before we get there too, I did talk to Jeremy about the handicap parking, putting in a designated spot and parking spots. I just have to wait till he's back, 'cause I just rent the property, so I didn't want to mark up his parking lot before he's back. But he is aware that we're going to be putting that in.
Okay. Is this going to cause some confusion that it was a public hearing advertised as 8667 and not 8669?
Permanent parcel numbers was, not with the permanent parcel number, they're clarifying what it was.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anything from the commission members? All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with the 11 conditions?
Second?
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Rosetti?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Conditional use permit to allow a recreational facility at 8920 Menor Avenue, units H, I, and J. Is that applicant here? Please come up, give us your name and address. Tell us a little bit about what you want to do.
Hi there, my name is Casey Vanek, and the address is 8920 Mentor Avenue, Unit H, I, and J. We are, it's called the Sweatbox. We're a group fitness studio. We offer spin, yoga, pound, Pilates, a bunch of group fitness classes. I am the owner, and then I have 10 independent instructors that teach for me. We were inside Garfield Park for about 2.5 years and outgrew that space. And now we moved over here right here by Mally's, and it used to be Soul Sprint Cycling Studio, so I didn't have to do any construction or anything. So yeah.
Thank you. Is there anybody here wishing to speak for this proposal? Anybody wishing to speak against this? This public hearing is closed. Kathy, anything from the administration?
We've noted 3 conditions for the commission.
Anything from the commission members?
Just, are you open already?
Yes.
Well, I just wanted, because I saw people, I was at Manhattan Deli this morning, so
Oh, nice.
I saw that people were in there, and that's fine, just wanted to know.
Anything else? With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve with the 3 conditions?
Second?
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes?
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Rosetti?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to remove from the table the architectural reimage of a restaurant Taco Bell at 9486 Menor Avenue.
So moved.
Second?
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes?
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Rosetti?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. Kathy?
So, Mr. Chairman, thank you. The applicant was not able to come. He is out of this state, and asked if we would just speak on his behalf. In response to the comments that were made at the last meeting with regard to the maybe excessive amount of purple, they have removed the band of purple that was along the east, west, and south or north sides of the building, and I'm sorry, south side of the building. But they have asked if they could just keep it in the inset that's on the front of the building for just a little bit of character. And the rest of the bands that were previously purple will now match the rest of the new color of the building, which is the Sherwin-Williams Worldly Gray. The other item to note was the fact that They have added a menu board canopy and a drive-through clearance bar along the drive-through. I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that minor change. It is included in the updated plans that were submitted. We have no concerns with it. The poles of the canopy are black. So it will be, consistent and muted with the rest of the coloring on site. So if there's any other concerns, hopefully not, because he's not here to answer.
Okay, thank you. Commission members? Anyone?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Varga?
The elevations don't show the garbage enclosure. Are you happy with what they're proposing? I mean, is it the same color as what,
Yeah, so if you can you go to the other plan, the site plan, because it has,
and the doors that face, I guess, to the west on the waste?
they're only painting the inside of the door, of the doors, of the dumpster area. And I believe that will match what was going on the same building, on the building, I'm sorry. And I believe that's the Worldly Gray. So we have no concerns with the
That's- Yeah, I mean,
color proposed.
We'd want to hold it up just as long as it's consistent.
But you can see there is, that's where also the canopy bar is there.
I see.
Right.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with the 3 conditions.
Second?
Jackie, please call the roll.
Mr. Tiedemann?
Yes.
Mr. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Haddon?
Yes.
Mr. Rosetti?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes. So a new business, we have 2 informal rezones. So Kathy, I'd like you to just walk through what the process is for so everybody's clear on how this goes through.
So when an applicant comes forward and wishes to make an amendment to the zoning map, they follow the procedures in Chapter 1137, which is our amendments chapter. And the first step in that process is to have an informal discussion with the Planning Commission and discuss what they'd like to do, the proposed rezoning, and if they have any concepts to present them at this time. There is no voting that happens at this meeting. It's a discussion. The intent, though, of this meeting is to hopefully share with the applicant, if they do decide to move forward with the proposed amendment, the next step would be a formal application for rezoning with any information that the Planning Commission requires. So in the staff report, we've outlined, as we normally call them conditions, we didn't list them as conditions, but we've listed them which are consistent with Section 113704. Again, these are suggestions of items that should be included with the next submittal, in addition to a legal description of the property, and so forth. And so they've given you a very preliminary concept plan for discussion. After the Planning Commission hears it tonight, and if they decide to move forward with an actual application for rezone, a public hearing will be scheduled. You will consider that formal consideration at a scheduled public hearing, and then you will make recommendation of that rezoning request to City Council. At which time then City Council will schedule a public hearing and have final vote on the actual proposal. In the case, actually in both cases tonight, due to the charter requirements, both of these items would be subject to voter referendum. And so they would have to go onto the ballot in November. Which they, the fact that they're starting now, they certainly have enough time to get that on there, if they again choose to move forward.
Thank you. With that, we have an informal rezoning of 6.63 acres from M1 Light Manufacturing to B2 General Business District at 6010 Heisley Road. Is that applicant here? Please come up, give us your name and address. tell us a little bit about what you want to do. We'll have a discussion.
Good evening. My name's Timothy Posar from Heisley Hendricks LLC, 6011 Heisley Road. We're directly diagonally across the street from this site. This site is about 17 acres in total. We own the whole corner. We're looking at rezoning just the front, the frontage on Heisley Road and a little bit on Hendricks there. Since we've owned it, we've had a sign up. We've had a lot of interest from gas stations and other retail uses for the site. And this is our first step in trying to get it rezoned. Some of the attributes of the site, it's on an intersection there on Heisley and Hendricks. So to us, it has better access for a gas station and retail uses than some of the other available sites on Heisley Road. This is Mentor's furthest east north-south entrance, or access. And really, there are no services for a major gas station on Heisley Road. You got to either go all the way up to Mentor Avenue, or you got to go all the way over to 615 to access a larger. You have the BP there, but it doesn't have all the conveniences that we're looking at adding on this facility here. We've talked to some of the major employers in the area. They seem to be in support of it because they have a lot of people that they feel would benefit from the use of this. We did submit a letter from one of them. Everybody else was just verbal. Yeah, it looks good. We've had other inquiries about the future development, in the retail sector also, more like donut and coffee shop type uses that would be, I think blend well with the new rec center there, and also give a nice little convenience for all the employees in the area.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I'm sure. Kathy, for anything?
I'll defer to the commission at this time, and we can talk about the items at the end that we are recommending that they move forward with on a rezone application.
Thanks. Anything from the commission members?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Haddon?
A couple of questions.
Sure.
The way the property line's kind of chopped up on that, was it the west side?
Yes.
Is there a reason why it's so jagged?
Yes.
Okay.
The property had a substantial amount of wetlands on it. We had usable areas up front. We bought some credits from the Corps, went through the program with the Corps, got a permit. So that's why you see the little funky areas there. Everything behind there is all wetlands. With the Corps, we also got approval to do a regional retention basin for all the outlots that we would have across the front there on Heisley Road, and you see that up there north on the north end of the site there. And that would service both the gas station and then whatever potentially will go into future development.
Which was my next question, that detention basin. So that's going to be in a permanent easement?
Yes, correct.
And
Yes.
is the city okay with that, or does it need to be on a property that's being rezoned?
At this point in time, our engineer has not commented on that. He did indicate it would, at the very least, have to be in an easement. But I would imagine that we will have more comments during a formal submittal.
And then my last question, the future development parcel, I assume you have that 26 main access drive there, so that's how they're going to access that future development, or do you plan on coming off Heisley again, or?
Well, it would depend on the traffic study that we're going to do. The city recommended that. We've initiated that to kind of take a look at. Of course, we would like full access from Heisley Road, but we'll let the traffic study determine the best way to get into the site.
Yeah, I think there was a comment on that too. Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything else? Mr. Rossetti?
Just a clarification on the wetlands permit from the
Sure.
Corps. You have the wetlands permit
Yes, sir.
already? Okay,
Yes.
did that take into account Heisley, or Heisley Creek as well to the north? Because is it all encompassing of the whole site or just for this specific area?
It's just for that specific area.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
Just,
Mr. Varga.
just a further clarification of the wetlands area. It has a strange shape. I had the same concern or wondered why. Does that also go substantially into the remainder of the property that you're not requesting?
Correct, yes.
So there's a kind of a big donut hole in the middle of all this
Yes,
property?
yeah.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about the property that's left. Its availability for reasonable development, you almost have to come in and then go around,
It,
or?
it will never be developed. There's,
Oh.
the quantity of wetlands back there is just
Oh, okay.
tremendous. And it goes all the way back down to the, towards the freeway on other parcels too.
So that you anticipate not developing this in the
Correct.
near future?
Correct. That's
Okay.
why we only came in for the
What you need.
frontage that we knew was, after the permit was usable.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Anything else?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Crocker?
do you plan to have a right turn only when you come out of this property, or are you going to have a right and left turn? Are we going to have like a turning lane?
On Heisley Road?
On Heisley Road, yes.
Again, we would let the traffic study determine that. Of course, we would want full access, but if the traffic study says right in, right out, or right in and you have to go up to Hendricks to get into the site, I mean, we'll have to see what that says.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Tiedemann?
Just a real quick question. I know this is informal, but we're showing a car wash here, and
Yes.
there is a brand-new one
Yes.
not that far away, so
Yep.
we think we
I
can
sold them the
support-
site.
Excellent. So we think we can support two right in that area?
Our user thinks so, yes. Yes. They like our location better. It's better access in and out, they feel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy?
I would just ask if the applicant reviewed the items that were noted in the staff report as to submit with the formal submission.
Yeah, the traffic study?
We have a market report as well,
Yes,
the items in the preliminary site plan, so.
right.
Can you talk about the temporary impact area? You kind of marked off that 15 feet.
Yeah, what that is, it's the piping that would come from the gas station site all the way down to the retention area. Because there is wetlands back there, they're allowing us to go through there to temporary, on a temporary basis to install all the underground and then restore it so that they can feed that.
You're talking about temporary stormwater?
Correct,
Okay.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman? So that's going to have to be in a permanent easement as well, then?
Correct, yes.
So if you need to replace that pipe, are you going to have to go back to the Corps and ask them for?
No, they understand the design that we were looking at, and we can install it, repair it, replace it, clean it out when it needs to be cleaned out.
So when this comes back, it's going to probably say permanent drainage easement?
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
okay.
absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anything else? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Informal rezoning of 14.5 acres from R4 Single Family Residential District to PRD, Planned Residential Development Overlay District at 7260, 7276, 7286, and 7290 Atkins Road. Is that applicant here? Please come up, give us your name and address, tell us a little bit about what you want to do, and we'll have an informal discussion.
My name is Pat Perino. I'm with Perino Builders, and we're located 7976 Mayfield Road in Chesterland. And then our partners.
My name is Sam Vitale with Polaris Engineering and Surveying, 34600 Chardon Road, Suite D.
You got to spell that last name, please?
Vitale, that's V as in Victor, I-T-A-L-E.
Thank you.
Jeff Smull, 20th Century Construction. Last name's S-M-U-L, and we're at 2167 Menor Avenue in Painesville.
Thank you. All right, the floor is yours.
Basically, what we're doing is we're doing an Epcon product. It's widely known. Jeff's got a subdivision going in Concord with the Upcom product. It's they're out of Columbus and they're growing quickly, and it's for the move down buyer, but that wants to downsize, but not necessarily cost-wise downsize, but with amenities, either a clubhouse, a pool, with a lifestyle living for people to have bigger homes, to stay in the community, and to be able to down. Yeah, I'm 63, so I have the feeling I'm in a 4,800 square foot home, and within the next 5 years, I'm going to be going into probably 2,500 square foot home where, it's a neighborhood, like the old-fashioned neighborhoods that we grew up in, at least that I grew up in, with front porches, and where people can get together and, not live all by themselves. And then it'll be maintained property, and Jeff could probably speak on this as well, because he's putting one in right now, and they're going pretty strong in Concord.
Yeah, like I said, we're an Epcon franchisee as well. So our development in Concord is called Canterwood Farms, the villas at Canterwood Farms. There's a total of 59 lots, and we have a community clubhouse and a community pool. So we have that as our amenity. Our first phase is in. We have 32 lots in our first phase. We have sold over half so far, have about 10 under construction right now, another 4 or 5 to start next month. The demand and just the interest is extremely high. So it's an active adult community. So basically we're getting a lot of couples that their kids have moved out, they have their houses too big, too much to maintain, they don't want to be tied to their house, so they want to downsize, and they want to travel, move about without having to worry about their house. So all the communities are maintenance free, means we cut the grasses, plow the snow. It's a very good sense of community, and there's always an amenity to the property. So all the neighbors tend to really get along. So that's probably what I could tell you about that as far as our development goes. Do you have any questions on that?
Yeah, it's a public street though, right?
It's a public street, correct.
You plow the driveways.
Yes,
Okay.
the HOA. So we form an HOA, and they maintain the driveways and the lawns.
Okay. Is there any questions? Mr. Varga.
Mr. Chairman, this layout appears that these are all single detached residences?
Correct.
At least the spirit of this planned development overlay district is to have some variety of housing types in the development to create a little more design texture or choice. And that allows the density to be greater than what it was before, what it is now, I think. What is it? Was it R2 or R4 now?
It's R4.
It's R4. So that's like 2 units, I think, per acre, right? 2?
Yeah, I think what
But you're coming in a little higher than that, which is fine. I mean, I'm not questioning the density, but the suggestion in the design requirements for the overlay district is that there's, other than a single type of residence, some of them could be attached single family. In fact, there's 2 or 3 or 4 different choices of types of housing that you could put in here. Now, I know if you've got a formula and you've got a builder and you've got a standard unit and you want to build whatever the number is, 53 of these or something, that's fine, but the change of zoning suggests a multiple type of housing. So my question would be, how would you achieve that? Off the top of your head, because that may not be what you're proposing right now. But and let me just, and if you don't want to do that, if you want to stay with a single type of housing, then why would you want to change you could just leave the zoning and build the same housing. You wouldn't, you wouldn't necessarily allude to this overlay district type zoning change. So
So I guess we're kind of new to the process, but what exactly do you qualify as a different type of housing? Like, because their Epcon has 6 different products, like house styles. So I'm just trying to wonder, like, you know, they have the bigger houses, they have smaller houses, and they even have smaller houses than that. Like, they have a variety of product. That's what I'm trying to
Mrs.
find out.
Cantanzariti?
So we outlined in the staff analysis, and I apologize, it wasn't enumerated in the items, but it is discussed in detail in the analysis. And if you look at the bottom of page 3, we have a paragraph that discusses it. It refers you to section 1158.06, use and density regulations. The proposed PRD concept, you have to have a minimum of 2 residential use types. And those can be single-family detached, single-family cluster, attached single-family, or mid-rise multifamily. So it would seem logical, you can certainly do any combination you want, but a cluster is an easy add-on to something like this, and then you could achieve even more open space. The key to that provision is that any one use cannot exceed 70% of the total number of units. So, so for example, Road B, if you wanted to change that and maybe make that cluster, that's just an idea. But you could do however you wanted to. But in maybe we can talk about some of the open space comments that we did make that might necessitate you changing that up anyway. So, but those are the items, those are the use types that you're allowed to do to qualify for the minimum 2 residential use types.
What qualifies as a cluster, like exactly?
The more flexible and closer spacing of units to achieve some additional open space.
Is there like a minimum or maximum?
You got to get up in the mic. I'll get yelled
sorry.
at.
Is there a minimum or maximum amount of units that we're allowed to do as?
So then you can't exceed, so if you wanted to do predominantly single-family detached, you just couldn't exceed 70% of the total number of units being single-family detached, and then you would have to have 30%.
The only problem with clusters that we found, and that I found in Acacia, which is in Lyndhurst, we started doing them, and they were very costly because of the firewalls and everything that was required. And then also they were very hard to sell because the mentality was, well, if he doesn't take care of his roof or he doesn't paint his side, how do we deal with that? And we really didn't have an answer for that because of, so I can see maybe if we did if it was possible to do maybe a 55 and older rental product as the 20 or 30%. I just don't, I guess I would just need to know. They do have a product that's an attached product, Epcon as well, but I think what we did is we went to Lyndhurst and we asked them to make all the cluster products into single family, and they let us do it, and we built them because we found that we were building smaller houses and having to charge us as much money because of the firewalls and that we were required to put in.
Does the cluster have to be attached, or
No.
it can be detached?
It can be detached, yeah.
Okay.
So wouldn't this clarify as a cluster? Because they're closer together, they're like 5 feet apart or 10
I
feet.
think that you have more of a standard single-family dwelling on a fee simple lot. I mean, if you took, again, just as an example, and they weren't on fee simple lots, but, they were just more closer together, but still detached.
But still detached. Okay, all right. Yeah, I guess I would just need, we're custom builders, so we can do whatever we build them upside down. Yeah, so, we would just have to know what, what you would recommend, Kathy, for us to do.
So just following that 70% formula, and we can certainly talk about that offline, but
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that, you were aware of that provision.
I know we spoke about it, but then we,
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, and I think that just, attached could also just be 2 units, with
that's what I did.
with a common wall, and then you basically have yards on both sides and separate garages.
Well, we did attached, and we put the garages on the opposite side. or.
I'm not telling you.
No, I know
Yeah,
that,
I
but
understand.
that's what I did do that, attached. I'd rather them be detached.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
What'd you think?
Mr. Haddon?
Chairman, I have a question regarding, maybe this is for administration. There appears to be some landlocked property in the back, 2 parcels. I don't know what the intent of those.
Well, we tried to figure out who to call on those. I did get a hold of the pastor with the church there. I didn't get very far with him. I said, hey, if you want to, we'd like to put this up to memorandum to make this part of the subdivision, and he wasn't very receptive to that. And so didn't sound like he'd be very receptive either. So I did not contact. I couldn't figure out who to call for the parcel to the. What was that? On the south side.
Yeah, I think they're in New Jersey.
I'd love to be able to do it, yeah.
I think the property was in like New Jersey or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
We tried, but we couldn't figure out
Yeah.
who to call. So, I mean, if there was any kind, if you guys had anything, or I could have my title company with a little bit more time look and see if I could figure out who to get a hold of. But I did get a hold of the pastor to the.
And they are landlocked now, right? So it's pre-existing condition kind of thing. I mean, it makes no sense to me how they got landlocked, but I was just curious. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Varga?
Just a question for Kathy. With that landlocked situation, that would have to be resolved, right? I mean, we can't just allow the land to be landlocked like that.
Maybe our law director can comment on that.
Mr. Zeman?
Well, we can. The issue is obviously it could cause some future issues relative to potential easement rights. Generally, to answer Mr. Haddon's question, we see some of those along the Route 2 corridor. Often those were the remainder after the state took and constructed the Route 2 right-of-way. I won't do too many of them, but they're out there, and this is likely why they currently exist as presently configured. I don't know. Their title work will just have to ascertain whether or not there may be some easement rights of record that obviously may impact how their development may look. In the absence of that, I don't know that the city has any real say one way or the other. It could potentially be an issue in the future. Were those owners to attempt to develop them in some manner relative to access. But again, it's certainly not a situation where the city is going to, via its actions, create the problem that presently exists.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
Mr. Tatum? This might be for Kathy. There's obviously blocks of open space, and does this overlay say how much open space there has to be?
Minimum 20%.
20%, okay.
Yeah, so there's a couple things with regard to the open space, and we did allude to that in the information that we outlined, and also again in the analysis. There's 2 issues of concern. There's the landscape buffer that is required between residential developments. It's a 50-foot buffer that's required. So right now you see on the west side of the site, there's a 50-foot setback added to those lots. So we noted that, to put a landscape buffer within individual lots, to me is problematic, because then you're putting the onus on the individual property owners to maintain that buffer, not put any improvements into the buffer. There's always going to be that confusion. Well, it's my property. Why can't I put something in there? It would be preferred to see that come out of there. Also on the other side, on the east side, there's that, it's hard to read, but Block B, I believe that's what that is. That's showing as the landscape buffer as well. But under the open space criteria, you can't put, landscape buffers can't be counted as open space. So those would have to be taken out. So the thought was, and again, maybe where you get a little creative with the clustering, you could add some new open space to here. you do have the ability, under this new chapter to, request some exceptions, and we do, the commission does, do grant at times, some reductions in buffers. I mean, there may be an opportunity to consider that, during, a rezone. I'm not saying that that's the answer or solution, but, does it need to be 50 feet? Could it be reduced? There's maybe some avenues that could be explored. But I just want to make sure that they are aware of the open space criteria, that the landscape buffer can't be part of it. And again, we're recommending that the buffer be, be outside of those, of those individual lots, so that the HOA can maintain it in common. So those are some things. The other thing too is Block B is designed so that maybe in the future, I believe, if they ever were to acquire it, but we want to make sure that that 20% is always maintained.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Berger?
I have a question about Block C at the end. That's the entire southern, almost the entire southern edge of the property. It has the buffer running through it because you don't control that other property. What did you just see? Block C is just undeveloped open space?
We'd like to develop all of it.
You got to get into the mic, yeah.
We'd like to develop all of it, but.
Well, I just wondered what your intentions are relative to this plan.
We left it up to the engineers and for the 20%, I mean, you could speak on that.
Yeah, really, we had left Block C to essentially meet our 20% open space requirement. I don't know if you're opposed to maybe putting some sort of, recreation or something in there, maybe a path throughout that, possibly.
Okay.
I think it's wooded.
And were you aware of the 50-foot setback requirement she's talking about, that you can't count that as open space?
No, I think that on our part, that was a little bit of some misinterpretation
Okay,
of the code, so that.
we may see some development here or some future analysis. Okay.
Correct, yeah.
Is there anything else?
Mr. Chairman, one more comment. I don't know if you saw where the city engineer is recommending that proposed road B be pulled back away from that property line. Okay, you're aware of that? And
Yes, yeah, I did see that in the city engineer's comments, to pull that back to really get the utility easement all the way around, as well as the City of Mentor's 3-foot easement.
thank you.
Is there anything else? So you'll work with Kathy and come up with a more solid plan, and we'll see you again.
And we weren't planning on making them all the same. We do have.
You got to get in the mic. She's.
I'm sorry.
Tell you she'll yell at me.
We weren't planning on making them look all the same. I mean, we were gonna have like different elevations and different colors, and you went through our development in Lyndhurst, which we're attracting a lot of Shaker Heights. Move-down buyers are coming there to get out of their bigger homes with all the upkeep and everything else, because you got neighbors to watch your homes, the idea and stuff like that. You got friends in the neighborhood, and everybody watches out for everybody, and so it's in really big. Epcon's really big in Columbus. So if you go onto epcon.com, you can see a lot of what they're doing, and they're hit a niche market where Pulte and Ryan and all them, they're not hitting the spire, and there's a real strong need for the spire, and for them to stay in the community, to move out of maybe their bigger houses from Kirtland Hills or Kirtland, and to come into the area. They want a nice home. They just don't want a massive home. They don't want something that has to be maintained, and these are all open floor plans and that sort of thing. So they're latest cutting edge.
Kathy, in this new zoning, is there any design requirements for houses, and could you speak about that a little bit? I think that.
One of the reasons, the chapter 1158 is very detailed on a lot of counts, but the design criteria is an important section. Particularly, council wanted to make sure that any new residential development would be able to have a set of guidelines to follow. So this is under section 1158.11, design criteria. We've also mentioned that section in the report. It talks about building design in general, it talks about residential design, it talks about site design and exterior building materials. It also talks about the landscaping of the section. So certainly we want to encourage you to take a look at that because we will be looking for that. There's very specific criteria in terms of shutters and trim and again, the type of material and what we want to see on each build. So that'll be something that we'll be looking for with even, and again, at a preliminary stage, they will want to see something, so.
And you're more than welcome to go look at product that's going up Jeff's community.
Yeah,
And
I
we-
live right down the street. I see it every day. Yeah.
And then we have one that we just started in Sheffield, 63 lots. And the roads are ready to go in. We actually have our ribbon cutting on the 7th that you're all invited to, 3 to 6. And we're going to start our model and our spec and our clubhouse, the spec and model within the next 2 weeks, and then the clubhouse probably within, as soon as he's a little bit more involved with the commercial end of it for the clubhouse to get approved.
Could you speak about the clubhouse and the pool
Yeah,
a little bit? I mean,
the
while we're
clubhouse,
here.
depending how many units we can get, because we have like 3 different type of clubhouses. We have a cottage style where it's smaller and it fits in with smaller neighborhoods with less lots. Our clubhouse is about 2,000 square feet, so it has a gym. It has a main area for gathering, so they do things like they get together and they'll do all kinds of events. You know, they'll do like wine tasting. The residents will, and they're in charge of it. And it's a pretty big deal that they do quite a bit of it. They'll do like they'll have like a market. What do you call those markets? Those town markets. They just put together all kinds of bourbon tasting, food tasting, and to bring the sense of community together. Then there's a swimming pool in the one we're doing in Sheffield, pickleball courts and bocce courts, and then we have the retention. We actually put a big fountain in that's going to be lit up, and instead of making it look just like a retention basement, I did the same thing with my building in Chesterland. Instead of making it look like a hole, terrible, I said, can I dress it up? Can I raise the water up a little bit and put a fountain in it that's lit up at night? And they let me do it, and I did it there, and we're getting ready to put 13 lots in Willoughby Hills and do the same thing. It's pretty exciting, and like I said, it's very, very popular. The majority, the franchise is based out of Columbus, so, and they're just kind of moving out everywhere now. So.
Yeah, nationwide. They're nationwide, so they're in the Carolinas. I mean, just about in every state. I think just about most of the states.
And they seek out custom builders to become part of the franchise because they want that level of quality that you'll see in the homes we build. So they're smaller, but they're quality.
Well, I will say, I like that we have flexibility on the density and the type of community that you're explaining. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I would be more willing to have less open space and more of a clubhouse feel.
So would we.
Because that's what they're going to use, the people that you're telling me, right? I know the development on Hoos. You're redoing that house, that giant mansion that was in the middle. So I was actually in there, so I see what you're doing. So speaking for myself, I'd say develop it all and just have a bigger clubhouse because the people that you're explaining to me, they want to be an inside anywhere.
Right.
So
Yeah, and
this
that
is
would be great.
informal. I'm just spitballing.
Because you need the amount of homes in order to support it.
Right.
So yeah, we would be all over that.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Is there anything else? Kath, anything? Anything? Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure meeting you guys.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Yeah. Kathy, anything?
Nothing.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
No move.